Hello, Facebook family. How are you guys doing? This is Dr. Clay, and I'd like to welcome you to another session of Come Sit and Chat with Dr. Clay. I'm sorry we've been kind of incognito because for my last session that I did with you guys live, we were in Trinidad and Tobago, and technology wasn't exactly cooperating. So I made a decision that we would kind of hold off and come back after that. And so we're back in America. We're back in Nevada. I was welcomed by 115 degrees weather, hot like crazy. You could seriously cook an egg when you go outside. But anyway, I wanted to thank you guys for your patience. We did a great deal of things while we were in Trinidad. We had the workshop for children with special needs, basically helping to reach a child and meet them where they are, helping parents to learn different strategies as well as teachers. We also did pre-screening for children who were gifted, autistic, had ADHD, or a learning disability. And so please note that we will be back in Trinidad in November, continuing that as well. Hi, Sherry Ann, how are you doing? Hi, Miss Douglas, how are you doing? So today, though, our focus is going to be on developing a responsible child. Now, many of us, and I'm going to say we, because I am a parent, and regardless of my status or career or title, whatever you want to say, I am definitely have been guilty raising an entitled child at times. Hi, good. I'm glad you're good. So when we're parents, finding that balance of being able to raise a child who's entitled or raising a child who's responsible. So we need to question or ask ourselves, are we raising a responsible child or an entitled child? Now, let me share with you what each of those mean, because many of us may not know. So if you're raising an entitled child, this child believes that they have the right, hear that word, the right, to ask for whatever they want, and they will get it. That is their right. Okay? If you're raising a responsible person, that child will understand that there are consequences. Right? There are consequences for their behavior. And so they would therefore plan ahead. The responsible person would plan ahead so that whatever consequences would come out, they would be more pleasant than unpleasant. Right? So that is pretty much what we would want from our children who are responsible. So the reason I keep saying we is because, like I said, I have a fabulous 13-year-old, hi Colin, and many of my family would definitely state that I may give my child too many privileges. And so I recognize that at an early age as well, that I was giving my daughter a little bit too many privileges. She has a voice, and don't get me wrong, every child deserves to have a voice. But sometimes if you are a parent who is filled with a little bit of a guilt because you're not in a two-family home, or you travel a lot, or you're busy working, sometimes you would transfer that guilt into things, rewards and stuff for your child. That is not a good idea, because we will be creating a monster. And I stand here to say to you that now my child is growing into a more responsible child, but each and every day it's still challenges that we have to face. So when you are dealing with children, I would say to you that you must remember that we model this behavior. Children learn from modeling. Most parents believe that they want to have a happy child, and that a happy child is a healthy child. And that's very true. But happy children are not children who believe that you owe them something. You brought them into this world, and so you owe them things. And if you say no to them, they will become very angry, very blah, blah. They would just start berating you and making you feel as though you have done something wrong. So as a parent, yes, we want to ensure that our children have a very balanced environment and a happy environment. I know many of us would like to have our children have a trauma-free environment, but children have to learn coping strategies. And in order to learn coping strategies, many of them have to experience failure. And I know as parents, we would like it to be an environment where we can protect them from all things. But sadly to say, we're not able to do so. And if you would like your child to become resilient, you have to allow natural consequences to occur. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because you want to allow natural consequences to occur, if a child isn't going to look both sides of the street, you're not going to let them run out of the street and get knocked over by a truck. We're not saying that. It's not to that extreme. But a child needs to recognize if they are not taking care of their things and it's broken or destroyed, that they don't just get immediately something to replace it without having earned it. That is not a lesson we wish to teach our child, right? So let me see. I just want you guys to know that while we're talking, if you have any questions, please come on in, type it in, and I will try my best to answer that. Most entitled children are usually very angry, belligerent. They are usually lazy. They don't feel like it's necessary to plan anything. Many of them would use words that say, you're a bad parent. I hate you. It's all your fault. This is not fair. You know, those are the actions that you would see from a child who may be entitled. We have to also remember that children see things from a different perspective than we do. And so, from an entitled child's perspective, it is, well, I exist, so you should just reward me just because I exist. So, since that is not the child that you would like to raise, you would like to raise a responsible child, let me say there are many things that you need to start incorporating. Children need routine, they need structure. No child wants to do chores, but guess what? We all live in this house. We are all responsible for different things. Mommy works, mommy goes out, and mommy does different things at her job. Believe me, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have a job anymore, or we may not have a home anymore. So I would say to you that, oh my goodness, what did I do? Sure, I didn't. Okay, I fixed it. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, technology is not happening for me even here in Nevada, but I'm trying my best to fix it. Sorry. We would like our children to start learning from any mistakes that they made, and they must understand that not everything that they want, that they receive, that they must also earn it. And like I said, that there are natural consequences that go along with some of these things. Many of our parents would find that when our children are or have committed what they may consider an infraction in the home, say for example with the telephone. Many teenagers at this moment in time have phones. All of them have the iPhones, or they have some sort of, be it Samsung or whatever it is. And I'm not being a commercial for any of these people, but I just want to share that sometimes this occurs, that a child's phone, they'll do something with the phone like sexting. So if a child is caught sexting with the phone, usually parents would go from 0 to 60. Many parents would be like, what? I taken it away. It's done. Or they'll be like, you're getting licks for this, or whatever the punishment is. The child doesn't really learn from just a punishment occurring. Children have to know, well, what did they do? And how does that connect with this consequence? And I really don't think I did anything wrong. So I would always say to parents, you start off with asking, what are you doing? You're asking your child this. What are you doing? The child might decide, I don't think I'm doing anything. I'm just talking to my friends on my phone. Okay, so what you're doing, do you think what you're doing is something you should be doing? Do you think it's something that is right? Well, maybe not. Well, I'd like to ask you, what is the rule in our house about using your phone inappropriately? Well, Mom, you say that I'm not supposed to use my phone inappropriately. Inappropriately means no bad language, not sending pictures over the phone to other people that are inappropriate with me not clothed, and things like that. Okay, so if you know that this is against a rule that we have in our home, then what do you think is the consequence for this rule? Well, you said that my phone, I will lose it. You will lose your phone. Exactly. So if this happens again, I am saying to you that you will lose your phone. And so the time frame that you might say the child will lose their phone might be anywhere from a month to a year or even longer. So in saying that, I say to parents, if you're going to say that this is the consequence, the natural consequence for a specific behavior, please follow through. Please follow through on the consequence that you're stating. Many parents, we would give empty threats. And many of us will not follow through on whatever it is that we stated would occur. Or we have cases where we have two parents, and one is the Disney parent and one is the militant parent. There has to be a happy medium. If you're teaching your child to be responsible, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like, every single thing, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is the rule, this is the rule, this is the rule. There has to be a balance of flexibility. Children do have age-appropriate privileges that they have earned, and they should have those. You're not going to treat a 17-year-old like you would treat your 7-year-old. So in knowing this, I would say to you that make sure that information is clear. Make sure you are communicating this to your child on a regular basis. Now, I know sometimes many of you may feel as though you're repeating yourself and you're saying it over and over again. You probably are. And I must tell you, most children learn more from what they see you doing than from what comes out of your mouth. So I know many parents have said, I have said this to this child 1,000,000 times, one way and another. Yes, you're right. You probably did say it 1,000,000 times, one way or another. But your child isn't listening to what you say, but they are watching what you're doing. So here it is, we're telling our children, clean your room. Have you taught your child how to clean their room? Have you shown them a visual of what a clean room looks like? Clean up after your messes. Do you clean up after your messes? Do you wash the dishes in the sink? Just because this person is a little person and they're learning, remember, many of them learn more from watching, from being modeled, not just from you telling them things. Because most kids, they're zoned out, and it's in one ear and out of the other. You would like your child to basically come home at a proper curfew. If the child continues to come in, hi Jamie, if the child continues to come in after curfew, but you have done nothing to change the behavior, then what is to motivate them to come in at curfew? So we need to recognize that if we are going to try to teach a child to be more responsible for their behaviors and actually take ownership for their actions, we need to also show them this, okay? So, hi, how you doing, Ian? So I'd like for you guys to please come on in and ask questions regarding if you are trying to raise a responsible child or not. Please recognize that when a child is being taught responsibility, it's something that has to be modeled on an everyday basis. And guess when should it start? Should we wait until they're teenagers? No. We need to start as young as when these kids are toddlers. You need to give them responsibility for different things. When your child makes a mess, help them to pick it up. Teach them, where does the toys go? Where do their clothes go? Let them help you with things. When children start taking responsibility, they want to do things on their own, let them. And I know sometimes when you're teaching a child a new skill, many times it becomes a headache more for us at the end, and maybe it might take a little bit longer, but it's going to be worth it. Once the child learns the skill, I promise you, life will be easier in the future. Many of us, I know, want to ensure that our children have no trials, no tribulations whatsoever. How are we going to teach them coping skills? How are we going to teach them resilience? They have to learn that everything does not come out perfect. Everyone is not successful at the first attempt, and that age-appropriate failures are okay. And you have to teach them to cope through that. Please, many of us would like to have the world go round where our children are exposed to only niceness and happiness. And that may be in your home or in your world. But please recognize when the kids go out into the real world, they are not always going to see niceness and happiness. Everyone is not always going to smile at their new antics and say, "Oh, isn't that cute?" That is not going to happen all the time. Your children are going to go to other people's homes, and they're going to use language that is quite normal for them to use. It might be okay for them to say, "No, I don't want to do that. That's your job to do." Guess what? They may go into someone else's home, and that's not appropriate. So please recognize the skills that you teach your kids have to be transferred not only in the workforce, in the classroom, but socially in their everyday life with their friends and other family members. So please recognize that we must give our children the tools that they're able to help them to cope with things inside and outside of their worlds. Now, many people are like, well, what does this have to do with a kid, say in the classroom? How is the teacher supposed to help with this? Well, let me just say, classroom teachers can actually help support or help replace some of the negative behaviors that kids bring from outside of the classroom. We may not be able to save them all the way around, but we can start giving them the foundation. Hi, Sandra. We can start giving them the foundation that they need to be able to learn to be more responsible. So, like I said, teach your children from a very young age to clean up their messes. Because even when they hurt someone's feelings as adults, they have to clean up their mess. They need to learn that you fix it. You don't just hurt someone's feelings and walk away. You don't just say, "I hate you, mommy. You're not like my friend's mother. You're the worst mother in the whole world," and allow that child to walk away and not fix it. I still love you. Yes, you can still say so to your child, but I am not happy with your behavior. And you are now coming back into my home or coming back into my presence. You need to fix it. And that means not just "I'm sorry." No, it means a sincere apology. And I'm going to ask, what are you sorry for? We need to allow our children opportunities to reflect. What are you sorry for? If a child is able to reflect back and be like, "I'm sorry for hurting your feelings. I'm sorry for being mean." The child needs to take ownership and responsibility, just like the adult. Remember, we are modeling responsibility. If you, as a parent, has accused your child wrongly of something, you have to apologize. That is your child. And believe you me, the child doesn't hear you say, make sure you say you're sorry when you do something wrong, if you don't. So again, if you have done something to wrong a little person, it could be your child, your nephew, your niece, your cousin, I don't care. If you've done something to wrong someone, you need to fix it. Because that person is going to remember that hurtful word, those hurtful actions. Fix it. So when you teach a toddler to clean up their mess, the physical mess that they make, you also need to transfer that skill into cleaning up the emotional mess that they might make. And we know some toddlers can be a little mean when they're growing up. "No, I don't want to share. I don't like you. You are ugly." And they can say so many mean things. Guess where they learned it? From an adult. I'm not saying that it's always from the parent. Sometimes it's from the educator. Sometimes it's in the playground with other kids. But as soon as we see the negative or poor behavior, we have to replace it. We have to teach them a different way of doing things. So give them opportunities to contribute to the common good. Okay, so yes, not everybody has the opportunity to take their kids out. Sometimes it's not even safe to take them out into some places where they're helping, say, a homeless community, or, going to a church and doing a church drive for someone who needs blankets. I'm just giving some general examples. But you could teach them to contribute to the common good within the house with picking things up. You could teach them to, when we're doing laundry, we match our socks, we help them fold. It's the common good. We can teach them to be kind and nice to their siblings by being encouraging and motivating. Because yes, it's great to hear my sister say, "Great job, Kaireen. I was really impressed by you. Good job." It's great for you to tell your siblings or your spouse, "You know what? Thank you so much for cooking me dinner last night. I know I didn't ask, but I was so exhausted and so tired, and that was a phenomenal meal. You knocked it out the box." It's good to say that, because guess what? Those people don't have to do those things. But it's your responsibility to be kind and appreciative of it. You need to model that for your children. If your child does not show appreciation for the things that you are doing for them, maybe they haven't seen it modeled. They don't know what it looks like. So remember, this child's brain is a clean slate. And you have to imprint all of the different behaviors, all of the different attitudes, new characteristics. You have to imprint those through modeling. So in saying that, I would definitely say to yourself, always work towards providing routines and opportunities and structure that teaches a child responsibility. So they are responsible when they interact with each other. They're responsible when they interact with you. There is a level of behavior and a level of expectation that we have to model. And that is not something that just poof happens and occurs. So if we wish our children to be kind, if we wish our children to be motivating and inspired, we have to do so for them as well. And guess what? You can do that without showing butterflies and unicorns all the time. It's okay for you to say no. And it's okay for you to work through the process with your child to understand that this disappointment isn't something that's permanent. It's not something that's ongoing. That they can learn how to understand that at this time, that wasn't something that they earned. And that it is a difficult situation to understand and handle, but you can help them learn the coping skills to be able to overcome the disappointment and move forward. So we'll start seeing that in the classroom and in the home. Many parents need to start young with showing their children how to be responsible. Allow them to help you. Allow them to assist in some things. When they are responsible, praise them, because we are always quick to, when they're not responsible or we see a bad behavior, oh, we're on it. We are on it every single time. Look at what you did that was wrong. Look at what you did that was wrong. Look at how you hurt that person. But when we see them being responsible, even if it's for 1 minute, praise them so that they can see the difference in the reaction that they get from you, the smiles that they get from you when they're trying. Because sometimes it's difficult for them. Got a little thirsty. Wow, I see I have a very silent group today. Nobody's really asking a lot of questions, but I'll keep going. So some parents have asked, well, what about rewards? How should I reward my child? Everything doesn't have to be a reward. Sometimes the reward itself is just the experience. So it's okay for us to just be okay with just the experience. That's the reward, the experience. So in saying that, I would say that, if a child is helping you, say, wash your car outside, I'll tell you that has been so much fun. When I have washed the car with my daughter outside, it's only happened about 3 or 4 times. Thank you, Joanne. It's only happened about 3 or 4 times. So, I'm sorry, Josanne. Sorry, Josanne. So, when we were out there, it's hot as heck in Vegas, okay? So we're out there washing the car and having a great old time. And then next thing you know, she takes the hose and squirts it all over me, not on the car. I will not lie to you. That was the most belly aching laugh that we had in a very long time. She was probably about 10 and a half, 11 years old. I miss those silly moments now that she's 13. We don't have them as often as we did when she was younger. But just her helping me out and us being silly together. Granted, I just had gotten my hair done. And the first initial second of her splashing me with the water was like, my hair. But the look on her face of pure mischievous silliness was priceless. She just made me start laughing. I forgot about the do. I was like, I'll take care of it later. I enjoyed that moment. And the reward for both of us was the connection. It built our relationship into a better place. I remembered what it was like to be a little kid again, and my little kid recognized that mommy can actually be fun sometimes, and she's not always giving orders, or she's not always, telling me different things that I'm doing wrong or otherwise. Thank you. So guess what? And segueing on the giving orders thing. Thank you. I want you guys to know that it's okay to ask your children to do things, not just tell them to do things. So you can basically be like, sweetheart, can you please wash the dishes? I fixed breakfast. Can you please wash the dishes? Okay, fine. It's okay. Granted, it does open the opportunity that they may say no. And then here is a teachable moment. If they say no, you're like, okay, well, I'd like to know, this morning you didn't ask me to make breakfast. I made breakfast because we need to eat. You're right. But I could have made myself breakfast because you're old enough to fix your own breakfast. But I considered you. I considered that we are a family, and I do things for the common good of our family. So I made breakfast. So I'm asking you to contribute to the common good of our family, since I had the chore of making breakfast and it wasn't a chore for me, that I'm asking you if you would be just as considerate and wash the dishes. Now, granted, you're like, I don't think I have to say all of that to her. If I tell her to wash the dishes, wash the dishes. Yeah. What did the child learn from that? Here it is again, another adult, another parent just telling me what to do, not respecting me as a person, and not considering that I may be looking at this from a different perspective, because I'm a kid. And I may be looking at this from a different perspective. No kid likes chores, and many of them consider their world to be a little bit more important than ours. So here is a teachable moment for you to teach your child. Yes, Sherry, and I know it's plenty. But if you take the time to do the work now, believe me, it decreases the work you have to do as they get older. And the main reason I'm saying is that as teenagers, the disconnect only gets wider. So create those connections as they're younger. Build those relationships around the characteristics and the behavior you would like to see your child actually present to you and to the world. And as well as, remember, you're modeling it. So in you teaching your child to be a better person, guess what? You may also be teaching yourself some new skills and to be a better person. Okay? So again, build an environment where you have responsible individuals, yourself as well as your children. Please recognize that this is something that we are trying to continuously do. We meaning higher potential for learning. So when we're in Trinidad and we're conducting all of the different workshops and we're doing pre-screenings, like I said, we'll be doing it again in November. If anyone is interested in making an appointment for the last week in November, I will be advertising it on Facebook, of course, so don't worry. And I will tell you where in Couva we will be renting a space to conduct these interviews and these pre-screenings. And if anyone is interested in having the company come and actually do various workshops that we've done before, please don't hesitate to send us either a Facebook Messenger or text, or however you wish to communicate. That's fine with me. So I need you to recognize that many of our kids are not able to be responsible. They're not able to take ownership of their own actions because no one has ever taught them. Ask your child the question, what are you doing? Allow the child a moment to pause and think about what it is they're actually doing, because many of them are impulsive. They will just act. They will not pause and think. So you ask the child, what are you doing? Is that what you're supposed to be doing right now? Most of the time, the child will be like, no. Okay. What should you be doing right now? if that means homework, if that means their chores, if that means being nice to their siblings, being kind to someone, if that means bringing their tone down and respecting the individual that they're speaking to, whatever the behavior. Allow them the process. Hi, Marsha. Allow them the process of reflecting on that behavior. Allow them the thinking time. Because right then and there, they know they've done something wrong. They're scared. Allow them the processing time by asking them the questions. It also gives you time to cool down, to be relaxed, to be a little calm, because you've gone from 0 to 160 the minute you see your child doing something wrong. So I would advise you to please be calm, to please recognize that your child also needs that processing time, and so do you. You need time to cool down because you'll be reactive instead of proactive. So I'm bringing this to a close. I want you guys to please share with me if there are any other topics that you would like us to go through. I picked the responsibility topic because many of my clients I had in Trinidad, many of them that was like their highest thing. My kid doesn't take responsibility for their actions. My kids are not doing X, Y, and Z. My kids don't listen. How do you get your husband to buy it? Oh my God, Jamie, that's going to definitely have to be another session. I will definitely say to you, getting spouses, be it husbands or wives, to buy in to the parenting style means that you guys are going to have to find a common medium, okay, where one can't be the one that's the person who is like, oh, we're fun. Hi, Avanel. We're the ones, we're going to go have fun. We're going to play. And the other one is the one, you need to follow the rules. This is what you're doing. We can't have the militant and the Disney, because it's not fair that one person gets to have all the fun and the other person is called the butt, basically. So that's going to have to definitely be another session. And thank you, Jamie. I think we might be doing that one for next week, on actually working on being on a common ground with your parenting style. This is something that also works when you are dealing with educators as well, because if parents educate one way and teachers educate another, we have to find a common ground in some way, or else we won't be reaching all of our children. So please keep sharing some of the suggestions and recommendations, and we will put them in as the sessions go forward. So thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much. But before I leave, I just want to thank a few people, because our Trinidad experience was phenomenal. Thank you, Avanel. Sure, I hope to see you next time. I want to thank Nivlek Decor in San Fernando. They did a phenomenal job with all of our sessions, in all of the workshops, the decor. It was beautiful. It was comfortable. You'll see pictures of it online when we put up on Facebook. I want to thank CT Cover in Cuba for all my branding. That is our logo for Higher Potential for Learning. Please contact them for any t-shirts, mugs. They do lots of planning behind the scenes for parties and such. Also, All Mayuel, Floor to Ceiling in San Fernando. Thank you so much, Michael, for your sponsorship. I truly appreciate it. Holy Faith Convent Cuva, thank you for the fabulous venue. Mika Mars Creations for the makeup. My colleagues at Walden University, thank you for your sponsorship of, and even some of my students, even from Walden University, thank you so much for your sponsorship of sponsoring some children whose parents were not able to afford pre-screenings in Trinidad. Please, I look forward to your ongoing sponsorship this coming November and next summer, because we're continuing doing these drives and pre-screenings. The House of Creative People, thank you, Denise Scott. Thank you, Marsha Gome McGee from Caribbean Books Foundation. Thank you, all of you. And those of my family and friends who I wasn't able to thank personally, I want to thank you for all your support. You guys were definitely there for people who were not able to afford. You contributed your time, you contributed your finances or funds. Thank you for assisting those who could not get the funds or the financial revenues to be able to do things for their children that they need and can't do. So thank you again for all of those things. I will keep you posted on our next session of Come Sit and Chat with Dr. Clay. Please continue to give your suggestions. Please continue to ask questions. Please continue to remember that you are the model for your children. They can't learn to be responsible human beings unless you teach them. Do not raise an entitled child. Raise a responsible child, because we do not owe them anything. They need to earn all that they are. Thank you again, and thank you for sharing your experience with me. Good day.